The cacophony.
Cacophony.
Hey, everybody!
Hey, how's everybody doing?
What?
Was all the cacophony stuff live?
No, we just switched over.
So,
What I'm hearing here, what the viewers are hearing?
It sounds like Aaron.
got a loop somewhere. All right.
Can you turn down your speakers?
I think we're good now. Are we good now?
Yeah, it
I'm
sounds
not
good.
hearing as much of it. I think we're good.
I think we're good. All right. Welcome to the Patreon. We've got the whole crew here with us. We've got Chris hanging out, Jonathan, we've got Jeremy, we've got Barrett, and most importantly, we've got you. And thank you for being with us. Honestly, genuinely, it is incredible that you would throw a few bucks our way every month in support of what goes on here. And we thank you for that. We love doing these. We love hanging out with you every month and taking your questions and just kind of having a few minutes to kind of connect one-on-one with the people who are a part of the amazing membership at Patreon. So thank you so much for joining us for June. We have a couple places where you can get your comments in. I'll make sure I have those open here. One of those is the Discord. So if you are on the Discord, there's a special channel for the PEEP members and above that can leave comments there. The other place is the chat for YouTube. So if you want to pop in a question there, you can do that.
Pop it in.
As well. Yeah, just pop it in.
Dragon.
Yes.
Pop that dragon.
And then there were that got their questions in early at Patreon, which is another thing you may not realize you can do, is actually leave your comments in the Patreon post about this Hangout, and we'll be sure to get to them. Joseph says from that, recently the Chernobyl series on HBO ended and has quickly become my favorite story of a historical event I've seen on TV or in film, beating out the likes of Night to Remember and Band of Brothers. What movies or series are your favorites that are based on historical events, and to what extent does the director embellishing on the historical narrative affect your ability to like such a movie or series? So, long question. Basically, what's your favorite stuff based on a historical event, and how does changing things affect that?
I've always had a fondness for JFK. When I found out how much was nonsense from it, though, it is really petered off as far as that movie is very well made.
It is
very, very well done, and at least if there's any positive out of it is to not accept just a plain narrative. Go and do your own thinking and everything, but don't go too far.
Don't go all over.
Yeah, don't go all
Don't do drugs,
stone.
kids.
Don't go all over stone with it. But the movie JFK is very well made. It's just that a lot of it is nonsense at this point. So. But it does tell you sort of the narrative of everything that happened, and sort of like if you forget about who they're accusing and what all the theories in there, it does have some historical basis.
Sure, yeah.
So
I'll tell you what. You mentioned Band of Brothers. I just rewatched Saving Private Ryan for the first time in forever. I can't remember the last time I saw it all the way through. God damn, that movie's brilliant. I mean, that is maybe, it came out 98, right? Is that the last great Steven Spielberg movie?
I put Minority Report there.
Yeah.
Munich.
Munich.
Also based on historical.
Yeah,
It's good.
Yeah, Munich.
War of the Worlds is good.
Yeah, I think I think to get to absolute brilliant genius, whatever. I think Minority Report's the last one, and the other two, Munich has its issues. War of the Worlds definitely has its issues. But
War Horse.
Yeah, War Horse.
It's got a few issues, that War Horse.
Yeah, it was that right at that time where Spielberg was making movies that I just didn't understand. War Horse, Adventures of Tintin.
Oh, I guess Catch Me If You Can is another one.
Yeah, Catch Me If You Can is also in there. Well, Catch Me If You Can and Minority Report. Catch Me If You Can was 2002 as well.
And Catch Me If You Can is based on a historical event, too.
Yeah.
So, but Saving Private Ryan, especially, I think they ran it on the D-Day anniversary. And however impactful you remember that being, it's even more so, especially when they get to Ryan, when they get to Matt Damon's character, and he's there like fighting his ass off, but Hanks is like, "You're attached to me." That's a good movie. That's a really, really good movie. That's maybe my favorite.
Well, I thought The Post was actually good too. That's another Spielberg based on. Oh, I like The Post.
You got one?
Actually, JFK was going to be mine, and I love Malcolm X.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Black Klansman
Yeah.
was also a more recent one,
Yeah.
and those are all three ones that there's definitely stuff in there that are more for narrative purposes. I know Black Klansman got a lot of crap for he kind of put the cops to the side because
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
focusing
Oh, yeah.
on David, not David Duke,
John David Warren.
whatever, KKK.
Yeah, David Duke.
David Duke, that's
Mhm.
right. Okay. Which what's his name is great in that performance. But I've never had a problem. The other question was if you ever have I never have a problem. I don't really care if they elaborate though.
Mhm.
For some reason, that's never bothered
Well,
me.
because
And I know some people it does, but that's just
well,
never
they
been an
have
issue
they
with
kind
me.
of have to. Unfortunately, it's just the way it is. If you make the story exactly as it happened, a lot of times it's not exciting enough. As in the case of Argo, they had
that's a good one.
they had to do that. They had to do that to Argo, or else then there's no tension at the end. They just
Just leave. All right, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, and Reversal of Fortune.
Oh,
That's about
Reversal
the
Fortune's
trial. I always forget the name, but that's
good.
a great.
Claus Van Bula.
Yes, that is a fascinating
Mhm.
film.
Pixels.
Yep.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm going to go deep cut because I love Band of Brothers, and that was just on a week or two ago. I watched every
was
single
it?
fucking episode. But I'm a deeper cut. Just after Band of Brothers, HBO did a space program miniseries that Tom Hanks produced called From the Earth to the Moon.
Yeah.
Which I don't feel like anyone ever talks about, and it's not as good as Band of Brothers, but it's also great, and I don't know why it doesn't get more love.
Yeah, it kind of
Check
has
that
gotten
out.
forgotten.
It really has.
Well, they did the Pacific too. Shortly
yeah,
after
and
that,
that has even
kinda
gotten
got
forgotten. Yep.
Yeah, that was very good.
And Apollo 13 could go on this list too, obviously.
Yep.
You know who's in the Pacific? Jurassic Park kid.
Oh, Joseph Mazzello,
The guy that's in
Band of Brothers.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh, that's
The redheaded kid from Jurassic Park. I'm doing
Yeah, I think it's Joe Mazzello who plays
maybe.
who plays the brother in Jurassic Park, right?
Yeah, the
The
little kid.
main boy.
Yeah.
He's also in Band of Brothers.
Oh, and he's in the Pacific.
Okay.
Wow.
And he's in Boy George. The boy.
Yeah.
What was it called?
Bohemian
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
And Blair Witch Project was real, right?
Blair Witch Project definitely happened.
Yeah,
That's,
so that was a good one.
yeah, that was a there's historical basis for that.
That's so racist.
I
What,
if
Blair
we're
Witch
just-
Project?
if we're just going true stories, I have to throw a quiz show out there.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was definitely up there in the top echelon of my favorite movies of all time. Apollo 13 was going to be my more historical answer. Like if you're going for like something that's a huge historical event.
Okay, I have to talk about Apollo 13. I just watched it start to finish 2 days ago. I
Mhm.
tweeted about this because that movie will hook you like you do not expect. I have a conspiracy theory. Go back and watch the scene where the news anchor talks about how the one son of Jim Lovell is off at military school, and it cuts to him in his classroom watching. I think Eli Manning is the extra behind him.
Really?
I've actually done research on birth dates and age, and I swear to God, it's freaking Eli Manning.
It's kind of like, is it The Hobbit that has a crowd scene? And I swear to God, it's Bryan Cranston that's
I
in
think
there.
that's the one you were talking
And he's
about.
he's not credited. There's nothing in the news that says, oh, they found him. But it is Bryan Cranston. It is Bryan Cranston.
Also,
Somehow
shout
we
out,
ended up talking about The Hobbit.
Yeah, somehow.
Historical movies.
Yep.
since we're talking Spielberg movies, shout out to Lincoln, which I know there's a lot of disparaging thoughts on that as well. But it changed the way I saw Abraham Lincoln. Like there's stuff in that movie that, based on the performance and kind of how they chose to do it, that was historically informative in a way that I wasn't expecting. And I love it when a movie can do that. When I come out of a movie, I'm like, oh yeah, those were real human beings that, had political meetings and give and take. And so that's a good one. And then I also like Big Short, just because when you're dealing dealing with what's true and what's not, I love the idea that he's basically his own Wikipedia article in that movie, and he will cut away and tell you, actually, this isn't true. Actually, this is true. You know, it's very interesting for a movie to be meta about its own shifting of the narrative. I think that's kind of.
I love in what's the one that I love with Mark Ruffalo, the newspaper.
Spotlight.
Yes. Okay. So I love that they go to that meeting at the Catholic school that the school where Michael Keaton used to go when he was a kid, and there's like extra bigwigs in there they weren't expecting, and they come out, and Rachel McAdams says it's like everyone knew about it except for us, and Michael Keaton goes, yeah, and we work right there, and it pans up, and their Boston Globe building is literally across the street from where this school is. And that always makes me, that just brings everything home to me, like how close you can be to something and not get a chance to see everything. Anyway.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Kevin asks, what movie would you erase from existence and why? Is there a movie erased
from existence?
I mean, I don't mean to be that guy, but I don't know if there's one. Because even the bad movies help you see movies in a, I don't know how to put that, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I just don't. Saying. I don't know. I mean, maybe Baps. I don't know.
Yeah, Baps. Baps is a good one.
There's got to be very, very inessential movies, or there's got to be very, very offensive movies. Like you could,
that's a good point.
Birth of a Nation, is hugely problematic, but it also introduced like all these film techniques and stuff like that.
That's the problem with saying let's X that out completely from film history, or just from existence, is because there are things out of that begat good things.
Yeah, I mean, like propaganda shit, like obviously the Nazi stuff, which we don't get over here, but like propaganda that gets theatrical release, like the Dinesh D'Souza stuff, that gets released.
Obama's America 2016.
That has no artistic value, that has no truth, that is literally just propaganda, or half truths that are twisted.
Sure.
That has no place. And I guess you can make a case for, on the left, the same thing, that demonizes somebody unfairly. But yeah, I don't think there's a place in the universe for those.
You guys are being really deep, and I was just going to say Sucker Punch.
I bet you've never seen that. So sure.
That's a good one.
That's
a good one.
Essential for Sucker Punch.
That's a good one.
I'd be okay in a world without Happy Time Murders.
That's a good point.
Oh yeah.
Or 8mm with Nick Cage.
If we could just do like part of a movie, I would exercise Mickey Rooney from Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Oh yeah, there's that.
Talk about problematic.
I like the character, but I don't like the portrayal.
Specifically, Mickey Rooney.
Yeah.
Any other answers?
Anaconda.
Yeah.
What?
Enjoyment from Anaconda.
You can't take vomited up John Voight from me. You will not take that away from me.
All right.
And Carrie Warner's in it. So
Yeah.
Okay, let's go with Craig, who asks, what is the worst movie logic? The example he gives is keys are always in the sun visor. Like, what is the worst example of some of the cliches or movie logic that we see time over?
So along those same lines, anything straight and metal can open anything up if it's locked. If you watch Die Hard with a Vengeance, Samuel Jackson just sticks a screwdriver into the ignition and then turns the car, and it works. There are plenty of times where they just get anything straight and whatever, and it's just like, all right, we'll just jam. I do not encourage you to do this, but try breaking into a car or just jamming a screwdriver in there. See what happens.
It's not working.
Mine, when cops are being shot at and they get behind their car doors, like the car doors are bulletproof.
I think they generally are, right?
No, they actually, Mythbusters disproved that very easily, actually. They can, I mean, they're obviously, they can slow the bullet down, but they can't necessarily stop it.
Mhm.
And the other big one for me is cars just exploding in general. There's a scene in Fair Game, that movie with Cindy Crawford.
Oh God.
It's like this giant fucking Cadillac or something convertible goes off this rail track, hits a railroad crossing sign, and blows up.
Oh yeah.
Like in Groundhog Day,
Yeah.
it's like he might be okay. Well, not now.
Along those same lines, along the MythBusters thing, the bullets whizzing in water thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
Is because they pretty much get stopped.
They stop in water, right?
Yeah, they did this. They tried everything to try to get a bullet to whiz through water. Like they had the biggest gun possible. They even had to do all this real safety precaution stuff because they were doing some serious weaponry.
Oh yeah.
And they were like shooting it straight down into the water, and it was like it would go like 2 feet.
Wow.
Yeah.
I remember something coming out.
And
I
the
never saw
bullets
that.
sometimes would be like smashed and crap like that.
Yeah, water ain't no joke.
No, man. No.
What is yours?
Well, I was going to say people who leave the keys in the visor of their car.
I like that.
No.
I like
Like,
that.
I just
I mean,
saw
you
that
need-
something yesterday.
You
Isn't that-
need your keys.
Isn't that the example of the game?
Is that the example they gave?
I thought you were getting credit. I thought you were too.
Fuck.
Yeah.
But I know what you're saying. Most people don't just have a car key. They have car key, house keys.
Yeah. Oh yeah, everything.
Yeah.
The whole chain is on there.
Wow. My world is shattered.
All right, mine is time travel. All right.
Oh.
Fuck you in game for saying just go with it. All right, because that's what they're saying. They're saying this makes no sense. There is no overarching logic to this.
Yeah.
This
Oh,
is just
no.
a means to an end of getting these characters in these situations. Now, those situations
Here's the
are
cat meme of
delightful.
people doing this right now.
Yeah. They're delightful. I love Cap on Cap. I love Tony on Howard. I love there's a lot of good stuff
There's
there.
a lot of gay sex.
There's a
in
lot
that.
of gay-
I don't remember Tony.
Yeah.
But
I don't even know what that
don't
means.
don't present that to me as logically thought out just to get to that situation. There are a million ways you could get to that situation.
Mhm.
Chris has already said that you could go subatomic because the Infinity Stones have been reduced to atoms. So fuck you,
No,
in game.
renowned scientist Chris Atkinson.
Yes, renowned scientist Chris Atkinson.
I do like the idea, though, that I do like the theory that the past becomes your new future. Like the idea, we've talked about this, where you can't change your own present if you go in the past, because you go into the past, that becomes your future.
No, that idea is fine, and that's been
the
presented
part.
so
That's the
many
part of
better
it I
ways.
like. That's
Yes.
true. No, that definitely happens.
But they just give lip service to it, and then they never come back to it again. I mean, what happens with Captain America? Where does he go? With Chris Evanson's character, that pisses me off.
I mean, how long do we want to talk about this? Because I could talk about the time travel in Endgame for.
Are you gonna defend it?
No. In fact, I was on the record very early as saying it's indefensible, and that it's self-contradictory. That they contradict their own rules. But I have looked at a lot of different people who try to defend it, because I am the kind of person who wants to know if I'm wrong. Like, I want to, like, if you can show me how it works. And there is one particular scenario that if you're willing to drop all like logic,
And I'm not.
you can get there. But it's a fascinating thing, because what we do when we argue about the time travel stuff, which is valuable to argue about, I think, we forget how much time travel also affects the stakes of everything. Anytime you add the get out of jail free card of time travel or multiple universes or any of that stuff, you completely discount any long-term effects or consequences of any decision you make in the entire universe.
Yeah.
And so there's that 1-2 punch of it doesn't even make sense.
You can
And it also undermines stuff that's really infuriating.
I've always ascribed to the Ray Bradbury Sound of Thunder a way of looking at time travel. Although there's also the consistency principle that talks about how you can't change anything if you go back. And
Does that. 12
What's that?
Monkeys does that really well.
Who
12
does-
12 Monkeys.
12 Monkeys. I keep talking over you every time you say 12 Monkeys. Yes, 12 Monkeys does that very well. But like the Ray Bradbury thing, you know, the story is that they go back in time and they're not supposed to touch anything.
Mm-hmm.
If they touch anything, then the entire world is completely changed, and they go and observe all this stuff while they're back there, and then they come back and everything has changed. People are speaking different language, all this, and they were like, "We were so careful," and then the guy looks on the bottom of his shoe and he finds out that they stepped on a butterfly.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I hadn't squished that fish.
Yes, indeed. So like every time, like even movies that I love, like Back to the Future, seem to think that as long as Marty only interacts with the people that he's supposed to change, that's the only things that change.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas everything that he does in that would be even the slightest bit.
Yeah.
Somebody doesn't get home as fast as they should have,
Yep.
and you know.
Well, and they even touch on that. Like he basically puts the idea of the dude becoming the mayor in his head.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just something as small as that, you know. I mean, and then who knows if that guy would have ever become the mayor?
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I can't wait to send Endgame.
Yeah, me too.
I'm definitely putting Aaron on that.
Yes, let's do.
All right, this one's a pretty simple one. What is the first TV show you watch if you have it recorded? So what is the top of your DVR list? TV show you cannot wait to watch the most right now.
Oh man,
And because it's summer and a lot of stuff is ended, feel free to expand this, you know, to the beginning of the year, I would assume.
Well, before it went on hiatus, it was always Barry, which only has 16 episodes. But I had it recorded after the first episode because I really liked the first episode, but I just never went back to it. And once I started in the second episode, I blazed through it because they're 30-ish minutes or so, and they have such perfect cliffhangers at the end of each episode that leads so perfectly into the next one that you just really can't stop. So that was my go-to for as long as it was on there.
I don't know if I have one anymore. I may have to go back to the time where I was recording stuff on VCRs and stuff. And I was recording stuff on VCRs even well into the DVR age. So this is going to make me look like out of touch as fuck. But Lost was that episode, that show for me, because I could never watch Lost. I was always working on, was it Wednesday nights? It was either Wednesday or Thursday.
Lost is on Wednesday, I think.
It was Wednesday night. And I would record that, and I would sometimes come home from a late night at work, 2:30 in the morning, and I would still watch Lost until like 3:30 because that's how much I love that show.
Yeah. For me, it was Game of Thrones up till recently, and even the last season. While I wasn't enjoying it, I was still. I don't have a DVR or VCR, so for me, it's mostly about answering this question is mostly about what do I not miss when it's running for the first time.
Right. Yeah.
Top Chef. I haven't missed an original Top Chef episode in probably years.
Yeah, that's my go-to.
I'm obsessed with that show.
Well, as far as like reality is concerned, World Poker Tour is something that I watch,
and that shit's always on.
Yeah, and they have a new episode every Sunday when it's in its new season, and it's currently in one now. And so like that's one that like sometimes it's like it's time to go to bed or whatever. What do I wind down with? I'll watch that immediately and just get that out of the way. So
I watch Jeopardy every day.
Oh, nice.
I don't really have anything currently. I can't think of anything currently. Most of my stuff, like Ash vs. Evil Dead, that was a recent one that I was really into. Made sure I got that as soon as I could. I was trying to think of something more recent though. Star Trek Discovery, which just ended its second season. But yeah, I do have a DVR. We do DVR, but my wife uses that a lot more than I do. So. Like I'm not watching Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
So you followed that whole James Holzhauer thing?
Yeah. That was exciting.
Did you know that he was going to lose that day before he lost?
Well, it leaked like 12 hours ahead of it.
No,
come on.
I avoided anything.
I mean, come on. Yeah, I saw like the producer. He was like, I feel so bad for the fans that got spoiled. And I'm like, dude, you just had your highest rated episode in like 10 years.
Yeah,
You're happy for real.
And you talk about conspiracy theories. I am 90% sure they leaked it. Like
Absolutely.
And it makes complete sense for them to leak it. I'm not even mad at them for leaking.
I will tell you too, that episode was really, really weird because he was like 40,000-50,000 away from Ken Jennings' money. He
Yeah,
wasn't close to the days.
Yeah.
But he was winning so much money, and he'll be back though. He'll do the champion tournament, so he'll probably still beat that. But there were a lot of articles written about how there's a prize money budget for shows, and I'm just saying it was a really weird episode. I'm sure it was legit, but and the woman that beat him was very, very smart. Everybody, the two people that went up against him, like all three of them, they only missed one question.
Jesus.
The entire episode. And then when it got down to the final Jeopardy, he played it to where he was hoping she would miss the question because she was a few thousand ahead of him. But if he had actually bet what he normally bet, he would have beat her. But instead, he only bet a couple thousand, hoping she would miss it, and then she would have tried to bet too much.
The most telling thing.
It was very weird. Like, I'm sure it was legit. I'm sure there's nothing to that, but the whole thing was just odd.
The most telling thing to me was that he answered on the waterfront. Yeah, everyone knows he saw Marty like 3 times.
Yeah,
but he got Final Jeopardy.
You beat me to that joke, Jeremy.
The wager that was.
I was just waiting.
That would have been awesome.
The best picture of 1955, and I don't know it.
I saw it 3 times.
No, the question was Shakespeare. It was who they thought wrote the stuff for Shakespeare. Well, all of a sudden I can't.
Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck. Yeah, Ben Affleck was the answer. Sorry, go ahead, Aaron.
Well, then it would be Matt Damon, right?
Reality TV is like crack cocaine. If you find a show you like you just want it in your veins. Survivor's like that for me. When there's a new episode of Survivor, I have to watch it as soon as possible. And my wife always teases me because I have to have a blanket be under a blanket when I watch Survivor because my extremities get cold because I'm so into it.
I thought it was going to be another reason.
Oh yeah.
Cover the excitement.
Oh yeah.
No, that's that. I mean, maybe that too. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I think I would know actually. But Survivor, if it's reality TV, as far as drama, Big Little Lies is kind of that for me right now. Even though I know
that's great.
But
I haven't seen that first episode.
I haven't seen it yet either,
but it's just, I mean, that cast is so good, and they're being given good material to work with, and now you've got Meryl Streep in the mix. It's just like, it's kind of mind-blowing that this is happening on TV.
Hey, Aaron, remember when we were hobnobbing with the Big Little Lies table at the Critics' Choice Awards? Yeah. Remember when we were like, yeah, exactly. We were totally right there.
Reese Witherspoon just did that.
I'm sorry I interrupted you. What were you saying?
Oh, I was going to make a bad joke about the theme song to Big Little Lies being awesome, and then I was going to sing, "Tell me lies, tell me big little lies." So, as usual, I was going to contribute nothing.
Speaking of music, this question comes from Agent J73 in the YouTube chat. Since Queen did music for Flash Gordon and Highlander, was wondering what musician or band currently you would want to see do music for a movie.
Muse.
Huh?
Muse.
Muse is a good choice.
Muse has the same type of grandiosity as Queen, who did Flash Gordon and Highlander and all that stuff. And I feel like if you're going to go over the top with using rock music as your soundtrack, man, Muse will punch you in the face. They're a 3-piece from Scotland, I think. And they had that song Madness that came out 2013, 2012 or something like that.
How did the 3-piece do 4-part harmony?
we send that video.
He did at least 4 parts. I think
I love that
5,
part where he
actually.
goes, ma, 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 and then they all coming together. And
Yeah, and then the top one is like,
yeah.
anyway, yeah, you came here for that. But Muse is not even one of my favorite bands. I have like one album of theirs, but I really do like the cut of their jib. I like the way that they can.
What?
I don't know.
I was thinking,
I'm searching for the.
This is the type of stuff that happens during the SinCast, by the way.
But, I forgot that we were being.
I like
It's
that.
just like-
I like that visual you just got. What is
And you're
this?
like, yeah, that's
It's like they're offering
what
us
is growing
fucking
there?
Muse. By the way, Muse is one of the best bands I've ever seen live.
oh,
I can imagine them
I
being
can see
amazing
that.
live. Oh, yeah.
I was
so
going
that
to
would be good.
say Arcade Fire
Yes.
because they have a big sound. Barrett doesn't like them, so he's gonna
No, but
poo-poo my
But they did
idea.
that wake up song for the Where the Wild Things Are trailer, and it was fucking amazing. So,
Yeah, well,
you're
that
right.
song, and then that song
That
is
whole-
sort of
Yeah, that whole album is something you can make a movie out of, I think.
Well, I think they use some of it in Walter Mitty too. Maybe to Wake Up.
Have you guys listened to Ghost? Have you ever heard Ghost?
Ghostface Killer?
No, Ghost.
Oh,
They're not. They're. I guess they'd be classified as doom metal, is what some people call it. But
right up Jeremy's alley.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think you dig it though.
Yeah.
It's not metal. Like you can actually hear what they're saying and whatnot. It's a little slower paced, but everything just gets called metal. I think they have kind of an orchestral feel to them. That's a band I listen to currently that has that. So that just makes it if they had done, like Tom York did a perfectly fine job, but like they could have killed a score for Suspiria, like something like that, or Hereditary, or some kind of abstract weird horror movie. Like they could come in and just
what about
absolutely
Rammstein?
destroy it.
Yes.
But
Yeah, they did. They were with Triple X, man.
Is it actually in the Lost Highway movie?
I think it is. That.
Oh, it is. The Rammstein song. Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Janelle Monáe.
Oh,
Yeah, baby.
That album, Dirty Computer, she basically made like a short film with anyway, but like just listening to some of the lyrics and everything, I think she could be a really banging soundtrack to a movie.
She's versatile.
She's banging.
She is literally, and I don't say this often, Prince-like.
Yeah.
She can
much so.
dance in any genre. She could do a rock and roll album and pull it off. She
Yeah.
could do a straight up hip hop.
I think she can do whatever she wants.
Yeah.
That's how talented she is.
Yeah, that's a good.
Was Pink the video we did?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a great song.
All the ones about vaginas.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
I
great
want to
song.
talk about vaginas.
It's her
We're going to be
and,
talking about penis. We're going to be talking about vaginas. And we definitely will be spending a lot of time talking about masturbation.
What is that? Oh, yeah.
Have you guys ever heard of the band Johnny Swim?
No.
Do you know Johnny Swim? I think they're from Nashville, but it's a guy and a girl folk duo, and man, their music is so beautiful and melodic. And
yes. This was. I went to New York. I couldn't think of the song I'd heard in Ruby Tuesdays. I asked Twitter to help, and Amelia from Made In figured it out.
In Ruby Tuesday?
Yeah. Well, the song was playing in Ruby Tuesdays. When
It
I was in
wasn't
New
the
York.
song Ruby Tuesday. You were in a Ruby Tuesday.
I was in a Ruby Tuesdays, and this Johnny Swim band came on, and it's their song "Home."
yeah, I think they do that song.
Yeah, they're awesome. Yeah, they're not in Nashville anymore. They moved to LA.
Why did you go to a Ruby Tuesdays in New
That
York
was
with
my
all of
question.
those restaurants around?
Dude, it rained, and I was soaked head to toe, and I was not about to go into a fine dining restaurant. I was in the middle of Times Square. I was starving.
This was your trip to see Hamilton the second time, right? Because
No,
we didn't go to Ruby Tuesday, did we?
no, this was when the 2015 trip, when we were out there a day before you got out there.
Oh.
And then I think you were there a day after we left.
Yeah, Ruby Tuesday is in Times Square, right? This is where you went? Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, yes, that's a good thing.
We have now reached the restaurant shaming portion.
Fucking Ruby Tuesday.
Together.
It's your own fault.
I went to a Wendy's in Hawaii, and we had been driving all over the island. We were kind of out in the middle of nowhere, and there were just random Wendy's, and we were starving.
Why is that so funny? Why are there Wendy's in
I don't
Hawaii?
know, but it was so cool because it was like the most amazing view I've ever had at a Wendy's, because it just looked out like at the mountains and the ocean, and I'm like sitting there eating like a Wendy's.
I went to
Yeah,
Paris and
yeah.
had Subway sandwiches.
Yes.
Very nice. Well, I think that's our time. So I'll turn it over to you guys for any final words you have, or anything you want to say to the amazing members at Patreon.
This continues to be way more fun than I ever expected it would be. And I'm very thankful that you guys are a part of this Hangout specifically, but of what we do in a larger sense. And I don't ever want you guys thinking we don't appreciate that or that we take it for granted. So
Absolutely. This has been a lot of fun too, and you guys are asking really good questions. It gets us going. That's
for sure.
Whenever we're going like that, then you know it's a good question.
Yep.
So.
Well, that'll do it. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll be back again in July to do this again. We appreciate your support, the level of your support, and we enjoy hanging out with you. Thanks.
All right.
Bye.
love. Oh, I'm going to take my pen.